Chris Jericho is in the Inner Circle locker room. He's looking down and depressed until Sammy perks up. Hey, come on Chris. We're the Inner Circle, baby. Let's get out there and make everyone know that we're not going to let a few losses beat us. Chris Jericho looks up at Sammy with a small smirk and replies, "Yeah, you're right, Sammy. I still haven't got my thank you for not only being the first ever AEW World Champion, but for putting the company together, building it from the ground up. Where's that respect? You know what? I think it's time we take AEW over. But not tonight. Let the Young Bucks and the pumpkin-headed dipshit Kenny Omega and the Fraud Cowboy have their moments. The Boy Wonder seems to be wrapped up with the chick magnet Punk, so we don't need to worry about him. Let them have their moment. Next week, the Inner Circle get back on top and take over." So we are just a few days removed from our first pay-per-view of All Out, and we kick off this week's Dynamite with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara of the Inner Circle, the La Sex Gods, with a segment reign of 69. So tonight's episode, we're going to see a 10-man battle royale to determine the number one contendership for Jon Moxley's AEW World Championship. Also, he was crowned the TNT champion at AEW All Out. We hear from 1/3 of the Death Triangle, the Bastard Pack. Along with Zeta Zhang, Allison Kay was in attendance for AEW All Out. Well, guess what? She debuts here tonight. And also Cody reacts after CM Punk debuted and hit him with a GTS back at AEW All Out. So we begin with JR, Excalibur and Tony Schiavone. After the pyro has finished, the camera pans around to the commentary desk. We are hot off the heels of AEW All Out, and we are here live in Green Bay, Wisconsin at the Resch Center for AEW Dynamite. What a night All Out proved to be, and I think tonight might be even bigger. Yes, JR, we have all the fallout from All Out spilling over into tonight. What next for Jon Moxley? We'll find out, as there will be a 10-man over-the-top battle royal to determine the new number one contender. Plus, we'll be hearing from the first ever TNT champion, the Bastard Pack. Well, gentlemen, what do you say we get this show started? So, we are at the Resch Center, live in front of 4,690 fans, and it's a decent way to open the show. It's probably the highest segment rating we've got from JR, Excalibur and Tony Schiavone, 60. Wow, it's incredible. So, we move then into the next segment. I was a bit hesitant doing this because the Young Bucks had their match All Out against Santana and Ortiz, but it's the Young Bucks that open up this week's episode of Dynamite against the Hybrid 2, and it's the Bucks that come out on top after beating them in 15 minutes. Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson head and shoulders above the Hybrid 2, and it was Nick Jackson that got the win with the Meltzer drive for this match, getting a 76. We're off to a strong start on this week's episode of Dynamite, and Helico seemed off his game. That's bad to see, but everything else pretty positive. We know what the Young Bucks are all about. Aubrey Edwards was in charge of the match as referee, so just like All Out, we're getting the show off to a strong start, getting the crowd hot. But how about this? After the match, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson are celebrating in the ring, but that gets cut short when the Butcher and the Blades music hits. They pound their way out onto the entranceway. They storm down to the bottom of the ramp, and the Blade and the Butcher turn their heads to look back from where they came. Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler enter to a huge pop from the crowd. They walk down the ramp to stand alongside the Butcher and the Blade, who has a mic, and the Blade goes on to say, "We are the Slaughterhouse." So if you cast your minds back to a couple of episodes ago, we saw that promo from the Butcher and the Blade saying that they had people that were ready to join them, to join their cause, and it looks like it's going to be Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler. But hold on a second. The Butcher and the Blade begin to walk to the ring ready to attack when they realise Dax and Cash aren't following. They turn around and get beat down by FTR. Butcher is thrown into the steel steps and Blade gets rolled into the ring. Dax and Cash hit their shatter machine, laying him out. The Young Bucks watch on. Dax and Cash stare them down. Message sent. Then they leave the ring. So yeah, I know, very similar to their actual debut in AEW, but I was at one point just going to run with the faction of having Slaughterhouse, the Butcher and the Blade, Dax and Cash together as a four-man faction, but FTR, they need to be a tag team. Having them in a faction just doesn't seem right. So next week, we're going to see FTR debut against the Butcher and the Blade, and they are pissed. We move into our next segment then. Before Allison Kay's debut, Hikaru Shida, the new AEW Women's Champion, she won it at All Out, makes her way to the commentary desk to watch on. It gets to 33, not much really going on here. It's nice to see her joining JR, Excalibur and Tony Schiavone at the commentary desk, but she'd be watching on, not even talking. And in a terrible match, Allison Kay goes on to win her first match here in AEW by beating Chris Statlander, who featured in the number one contenders match on the Go Home show and also featured on the buy-in against Britt Baker. She loses to Allison Kay then after a submission move, the modified Go-Go Plata in 9:31. Not the best. The crowd weren't too pleased, and for some reason they were turned off by seeing Allison Kay and Chris Statlander do battle. I mean, come on, a 27 for that. I'm not having it. It's nonsense. Just a quick reminder then, you can catch AEW All Out if you go and head over to the channel on the videos section. It is there on demand, ready for your viewing pleasure. Don't miss it. It's my first ever pay-per-view on any TEW game. Find out how I did. We move into our next segment then. Backstage, both Sean Spears and Tully Blanchard are seen. And Tully goes on to say, "Now Sean, I've decided the tag team search for you is over, even though I didn't do that for the first 4 episodes of Dynamite. It didn't work, and of course, the lockdown didn't help matters. So instead, we need to find a way of getting you back to being that hard-hitting guy that first stepped foot here in AEW. That momentum you had when you hit Cody over the head with that chair is something we need to rekindle once again. It's time to get back on track." So 49, we start that story with Sean Spears, and you'll just have to keep watching to find out how it plays out. Up next, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, who defended their titles successfully against Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix in the main event at All Out. They were in action against the super bad Death Squad of Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. Good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowds, got 73, and it was Kenny Omega that pinned Jimmy Havoc with that one-winged angel. No one kicks out of that. Kenny Omega carrying this match alongside Jimmy Havoc, but Kenny Omega, of course, the best performer. Kip Sabian, well, he was the wink link. Struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance, but knowing that Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, they have quite the weird pairing, really. They've got excellent chemistry together, so we're going to keep rolling with that, just like they AEW are in real life. As we roll into the next segment, after the match, both Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix look to make a run-in on the AEW World Tag Team Champions. Not again, surely, but get stopped this time as Private Party run out to stop the attack. Fists fly as Hangman Page and Kenny Omega watch on. Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix finally retreat, looking annoyed. Private Party look into the ring and just nod their heads at the World Tag Team Champions. A mutual agreement. It got 64. We know back at All Out on the buy-in, it was Private Party that overcame SCU to become the new number 1 contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. So quite the interesting interaction here, I think. Lance Archer is then shown beating down an individual. He throws him to the ground and then comes up to the camera. He is pissed and stands alongside Jake Roberts. Do you think just one loss means anything to Lance? It means nothing. What happened at All Out is already in the past. After 20 odd years being in this business, no one will be able to stop him and what's coming to AEW. He's a goddamn murder hawk monster, for Christ's sake, and he's going to show everyone what pain and torture really is. Lance Archer walks off as the camera looks down at the individual motionless on the floor. He's just a random, just had his ass beaten by the murder hawk monster. It was a difficult choice back at All Out for the TNT champion, putting Pac and Lance Archer together, but unfortunately it was Lance that did lose, so we're going to have to find a way now to rebuild him back up as the monster that he is. Cody's music hits. He comes out dressed smartly, soaking up the atmosphere, looking all business. He heads to the ring and picks up a mic. Well, the cat's out the bag. The whole world has been talking about it. News outlets, social media and so on, that CM Punk is back in the wrestling business, back with a bang, at my expense. I wanted a match at All Out, but decided I'd make the announcement that Punk is All Elite, but instead that didn't happen as it should have. Instead I got a GTS, something I've been on the receiving end of before, and it's not pretty. Yes, me and Tony Khan made the decision to bring Punk to AEW to help out Backstage, to help the young, hungry and up-and-coming fighters here. But what happened at All Out? It's inexcusable. So Punk, I want you to come out here and explain your actions. CM Punk's cult of personality theme hits as the crowd waits. No sign. CM Punk, no shows. Maybe bringing Punk here to AEW was a mistake. Cody drops his mic and walks off to the back. So CM Punk was signed with the intention that he was going to help out Backstage, maybe as a road agent, but instead decided to attack Cody Rhodes, and now he no-shows. This segment gets a 72 then. Cody comes across well, as always, and this angle got the crowd hotter as we roll in to the next segment. Backstage, a normal looking Matt Hardy is seen walking towards Darby Allin, who is sat in a dark corner. So as you would expect, Matt Hardy has his hair tied back, got his leather jacket on as he does in real life, just normal, never say die Matt Hardy. Hey Darby, look, I just wanted to thank you for this past Saturday at All Out. It was great, so thanks. It was like turning back the hands of time. I watched the match back last night, and seeing you coffin drop from the top of the ladder, put me through the table was, well, kind of awesome, even though I lost the match. Reminds me of a hell of a lot like what me and my brother used to do. I respect you, Darby. I want to wish you nothing but the best here in AEW. And hey, if you ever want to chat, I'm always here, and also see you out there tonight, and good luck. So we're confirming that both Matt Hardy and Darby Allin will compete in that 10-man over-the-top battle royal to determine number one contendership for Jon Moxley's AEW World Championship. It gets a 64 as Matt Hardy acting all normal. No more broken Matt Hardy at the moment. No more Damascus. We're not sure where he is, but I'm sure we're going to find out soon. Up next, Pac comes to the ring with the TNT Championship around his waist. Upon entering the ring, he calls for a mic. What you see here is your first ever and only TNT champion. The Death Triangle are taking over. Slowly but surely. Yeah, my amigos Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix may not have been successful at All Out, but what separates us from the rest is the fact that we will never give up in our pursuit to take over AEW. This past Saturday at All Out, we started with this. Pac holds the title up next to his face. We are the best three wrestlers in all of AEW, in all of pro wrestling. We have been looked down upon ever since our arrival, brushed to one side and forgot about, just another number. Well, no longer. Which is why I vowed to defend this title week in, week out, to prove you all and all those pen pushers backstage wrong. Our domination and decimation of the roster begins right here, right now, except if you dare. Pac throws away the mic and his challenge gets accepted by Orange Cassidy. Gets a 62. Cassidy clearly enjoying having the freedom to go off script. He performed well. Does he really need a script? Does he ever talk? Is he alive there? I'm not sure. And he, of course, benefit from having a groundswell of public support. We roll into the match then. The open challenge for Pac's TNT Championship. And in a decent match, Pac defeated Cassidy in 12:53. So kind of a rematch from back at Revolution back in February. Pac winning the match, had to. It'd be absolute madness if we dropped the title. It'd be very WWE-esque if Pac dropped the title straight after the night that he won it, especially going through the whole tournament process as well. It'd just be madness to drop the title on the first Dynamite after the pay-per-view. But Cassidy penalised for holding back. Hopefully we work on that as we continue to build up his character. In the next segment, backstage, we see Jack Evans. He can be seen annoyed with himself. They lost in the first match of the evening against the Young Bucks, remember. The camera keeps its distance. Stu Grayson approaches him. He walks up to Jack and hands him a piece of paper, which is clearly an invitation to become a part of the Dark Order. Mr. Brody Lee asked me personally to give you this, and he hopes that you accept. As Stu Grayson walks away, Jack Evans looks at the paper and nods his head. As we move into the next segment, both Hangman Page and Kenny Omega walk into their locker room after their match. Hangman goes straight to the mini fridge and grabs a cold one. Kenny Omega just looks at him, just watches him, looking irritated. And Hangman goes on to say, "Hey, I was thinking maybe we should share a few drinks with those lads from Private Party. Way to say thank you for earlier." Kenny packs up his things along with his tag team title. "You go right ahead, Page. I'm sorry, but I won't be partaking. See you next week." Kenny walks out and Hangman just shrugs his shoulders and continues to drink from his bottle of beer. These two at the moment, I've got to admit, I'm really enjoying doing the storyline for Hangman Page and Kenny. But these two, so hot at the moment. It's our best storyline going by the heat. We're up into the mid-70s at the moment, and this segment rating got a 75. So, and it's all thanks to the work that Kenny Omega's putting in. It's fantastic. And of course, it helps having a decent road agent in the likes of Tully Blanchard or even Arn Anderson to put this one together. So we move into the next segment. It's almost time for the main event, but before the Battle Royale to determine the next number one contender for Jon Moxley's AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley comes out through the crowd to a huge pop. He heads towards the announcer's desk and takes a seat, putting a headset on. He's very to the point as he says, "Guys, thanks for having me. Let's find out who I'll be facing at Full Gear then, shall we?" Jon Moxley's all business. So it gets an 84. It's incredible. Just to get Jon Moxley in there. I think I might just include him in every single angle, every single match, and we'll just get those high ratings up into the 90s. Be incredible. Jon Moxley taking over AEW. Obviously, that would go against me because I'm sure he'd pick up an injury or something along the lines or get too tired. But anyway, we move into the main event with TV time remaining. In a decent match, it's MJF that wins the Battle Royal within 9 minutes 53. The other members of the Final Four were Jungle Boy, Rey Fenix and Darby Allin, with Jungle Boy being the final elimination. Jeff Cobb got the most eliminations over the course of the match, and you'll notice that we had one familiar face in this Battle Royal, and that was, he was a local worker that I brought in for Dark, as you'll see very soon. Spoilers. It's Kurt Hawkins. He's out of contract. I thought, well, let's give him a bit of work, give him a chance to maybe even compete for Jon Moxley's AEW World Championship, as mad as that would have been. But he's in there. But the crowds weren't particularly thrilled to see him, which is a shame, because I think Kurt Hawkins is a great worker inside the ring. But enough of that. The main news is that MJF is now the number one contender for Jon Moxley's AEW Championship, something that needs to happen in real life, that will happen, no doubt. And I've got so many ideas now, and we've got a lot of time between now and also the next pay-per-view, which is Full Gear. We're week 1 September, Full Gear's in November. We've got a lot of time to put this feud together and make it into something special, something that we saw between him and Cody in real life, and hopefully the payoff will be nice as well. After the match, with his music playing in the background, MJF stands on the middle rope turnbuckle facing the commentary desk where Jon Moxley is standing and proceeds to raise his middle finger at the AEW World Champion. It doesn't seem to faze Moxley as he just stands there with his title over his shoulder, staring the new number 1 contender for his AEW World Championship down. From behind, Wardlow attacks the champion. MJF is in the ring watching and laughing. Wardlow, with pure intensity, pure menace, lifts Moxley up onto his shoulders and hits the F10 onto the commentary desk in front of JR, Excalibur and Tony Schiavone. You can hear Moxley breathing heavily as Dynamite comes to a close with a close-up of a grinning MJF. The salt of the earth, MJF. He's better than you, and you know it, is going to Full Gear to face Jon Moxley. The first shot has been sent. The message has been received. The MJF is coming for Moxley's AEW title. I think that's a nice way to finish the episode as we begin this new program between champion and challenger. And we get a 76 for that, one of the better shows of Dynamite that I've put out. It was the aftermath of All Out, and we've increased our popularity in 24 regions. A 76, I'm really pleased with that. I think our lowest has been a 72. I think I have scored a 76 before. I think that was maybe the 3rd week heading into All Out. But to get a 76 again, the aftermath of All Out is pretty decent. Something now to build upon as we head towards Full Gear. It's going to be interesting to see how we deal as well with the fact that we've got no pay-per-view now until November. We've got 2 months of solid work, solid build that we can put together. I'm looking forward to that. Let's go and find out then how we've done with the Wednesday Night Wars up against NXT. Just quickly, before we get into the ratings, I wanted to show you guys this footage that I recorded without any commentary before I went ahead and did Dynamite. It's the news that the WWE have made the decision to call up Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly and Tyler Bate, 3 key performers for them on the NXT brand, which could have an effect on their products, could work in our favour as well. So as we know, we got a show rating of 76, had an attendance of 4,690. That's going up slowly. That's good to see. On TNT then we got a 1.27, which saw 958,000 viewers tune in. We did get a total of 1.3 million with a 1.79 TV rating. So let's have a look. We are currently tied at 2-2 at the moment since the restart, since that first episode of AEW Dynamite here on TEW 2020. Oh, we've just beaten them. We've just edged them this week. So it's now 3-2 as NXT gets a 1.73. So just behind us with 1.3 million viewers. Fine margins this week. Fine margins. Anyway, that is it for this episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you all soon for the next one. Thanks for watching.